你们好. Hello everyone. Welcome to Beginner Conversational Chinese. And this is Lesson 2, Courtesy Words. 你好吗? I hope your answer was 我很好 or 我挺好 or 我不错. If you need a little refresher on greetings and small talk, check out Lesson 1 of the course. In today's lesson, our objectives are to learn courtesy words such as excuse me, thanks, sorry, and more. The way we say excuse me in Chinese is 打扰一下. 打扰一下. 打扰 by itself means to disturb. So the Chinese R sound is a little different from the English R. It is a retroflex sound, meaning you have to curl the tip of your tongue backwards. 扰 扰 打扰 打扰 Very good. 一下 means one quick moment. Now the Chinese X sound is kind of similar to the English SH sound, but the tongue placement is different. Instead of putting the tip of your tongue high up, you put it right behind your lower front teeth. 下一下 Okay, so just try to imitate me as much as you can. These sounds are kind of difficult in Mandarin, but with practice, you'll get the hang of it. Now, before we move to the next slide, let's say it again. 打扰一下. It literally means disturb you one moment, but it means excuse me. 打扰一下. You can use it to initiate a conversation with a stranger. Okay, so we have a way of politely asking someone a question, which is 请问. Now repeat after me, 请问. 请 by itself means please or to treat someone to something. 请. The Chinese Q sound is a little difficult too. It's a little similar to the English CH sound, and it has a similar tongue placement as the Chinese X. Instead of putting the tip of your tongue high up, you put it right behind your lower front teeth again. 请 Notice the ng in the pinyin? That means you have to produce the sound in the back part of your nose. 请 Now, depending on which part of the Chinese-speaking regions you're in, you might hear the ng part a little differently. In southern parts of mainland China, sometimes people would drop the g at the end and just say it like qin, 请. But in northern parts of mainland China, people say it in the more standard way, 请. So 请 by itself could also mean to treat. For example, I treat you, as in I'll treat you to dinner, I'll treat you to, a meal, would be 我请你. Do you remember the pronouns from the last class? 我 means I or me, 你 means you. So 我请你 means it will be my treat, I'll treat you. 问 means ask. 问. So 请问 is a very polite way of asking a question. Literally means please ask, but you can translate it as may I ask, and then you can just put your question right after it. 请问. Okay. Now how do we say thanks in Chinese? It's very easy. It's just one character repeated twice. 谢谢. So it's the exact same character, but notice how the pinyin is slightly different. The second 谢, on the E, there's no accent mark, because the second 谢is a neutral tone. In Chinese, when you have to repeat the same character twice, the second character often becomes the neutral tone, meaning that it's less stressed and it sounds much softer. 谢谢. In addition, meaning to thank, 谢 is also a common Chinese surname. My last name is actually 谢. You might remember from the last lesson that the word for you is 你, so the word for thank you is 谢谢你，谢谢你。So how would you say thank you if you want to show respect to the other person? Very good. 谢谢您，谢谢您。Now again, if this doesn't sound familiar to you, you can check out lesson 1 of the course. Now, how would you respond to thank you? There are 2 ways to say it. One of them is 不用谢，不用谢。So we've seen 不 before from our last lesson. 不 is used to negate something, and 用 means use or need. So 不用 literally means no need. Now you can put a verb directly after it to mean there's no need to do something. So 不用谢 literally means no need to thank. 不用谢. But here we use it to mean you're welcome. 不用谢. Now let's take a look at another way to say you're welcome. 不客气，不客气。Now we've seen 不 already. 不 again is used for negation. 客气 means to be polite. 客气. So the QI is the neutral tone, so we don't have to put any emphasis on it. So 不客气。很好, very good. Let's look at the next one, which is sorry. 对不起，对不起。对 by itself means correct. 不 we've seen before, which is a way of negating something. And 起 by itself means to get up. But the whole phrase means sorry. 对不起，对不起。Okay, very nice. Next one. It's another way to say I'm sorry. This one has a slightly softened tone compared to 对不起. It means I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed, my bad. And it is 不好意思，不好意思。Now we've seen 不 before for negation, and we've seen 好 before. 好 means good. 意思 by itself is meaning. Notice this at the end as the neutral tone again. 意思，不好意思 could be used to excuse yourself or say I am embarrassed. When you say 我不好意思, that means I am embarrassed. Okay, next one. We'll learn how to respond to 对不起 or 不好意思。没关系，没关系。没 is to negate to have, so it means to not have. 关系 means relationship between people, or here it means consequence. 关系. So 没关系 literally means there's no consequences, which means it's okay, it's not a big deal. 没关系. There's another way to respond to 对不起 or 不好意思, and that one is 没事，没事. Again, 没 means to not have. 事 means things to do or matter. So the Chinese sh is a little different from the English sh. It's like the Chinese r. It's also a retroflex sound, meaning you have to curl the tip of your tongue backwards. But here's the easy trick to make the sh sound in Chinese. Just try saying the English word shirt, S-H-I-R-T, without the T at the end. 是，是. So the whole thing again is 没事，没事. So in our last lesson, we forgot to learn how to say goodbye, which is 再见，再见。在 by itself means again. The Chinese Z sound is similar to saying the TS sound in the word cats, the plural form of cat, except you don't let out a puff of air. The Z sound is almost identical to the Chinese C sound, which we've seen in 不错, not bad, 错, 错. So the difference between the C sound and the Z sound is in Z, we don't let out a puff of air, versus the C we do. So the Chinese C is exactly like the TS in the word cats. And the Chinese Z is like saying ts in cats, but you just don't let out the puff of air. So let's say it together. 在 it means again by itself. 见 means to see. So 再见 together literally means to see again, as you see you again. Now the Chinese J sound is really similar to the Chinese Q sound. The only difference is the same as the difference between the Chinese Z and the Chinese C. In J, we don't let out the puff of air, but in Q we do. So it's 见 Let's say it together. 再见 How do we respond to 再见? You just say 再见 back. 再见 So nowadays, especially amongst the younger generations, it's very common to adopt the English loanword bye-bye to mean goodbye, which is literally sounds the same, which is bye. Again, the second bye is kind of softer without much emphasis. Bye. To respond to bye-bye, you say bye-bye back. Very easy, right? Okay, so we've learned a lot of courtesy words today. Let's review them. What are the two ways to say thanks or thank you? Very good. 谢谢 and 谢谢你. So 谢谢 is just thanks. The other one is thank you. Now, how would you say you're welcome? And there are two ways to do that. 不用谢 literally no need to thank, and 不客气 literally don't be polite. Okay, what are the two ways to say sorry? 很好, very good. 对不起 and 不好意思could also mean I'm embarrassed. Now, how would you respond to sorry? There are also two ways to say that. Yep, it's 没关系 Literally, there are no consequences. And 没事 no matter. What are two ways to say bye? Yep, one of them is very Chinese, 再见, literally to see again. And the second way is bye-bye. It's borrowed from English. Okay, last but not the least, how would you say, excuse me, may I ask? So this one is a little bit complicated. We need to put two phrases we've learned together, which is 打扰一下, literally means interrupt you a moment. 请问, which literally means please ask. So together it becomes 打扰一下,请问, and then you can just put your question afterwards. Okay, now let's have a practice conversation. I'll say a line and then give you a moment to respond before I reveal the answer. 谢谢你. Now if you said 不用谢 or 不客气 back, then you did really well. 谢谢你 means thank you. I could have also said 谢谢. Next one. 再见. Now this one is even easier. You just have to say 再见 back because it means bye. Next one. 对不起. If you said 没关系 or 没事, then you got it right. What's another way to say sorry? Very good. 不好意思. It could also mean to be embarrassed. Okay, our last question. How would you ask a stranger a question in Chinese? So the polite way to do that would be 打扰一下, excuse me, 请问, and then your question. 打扰一下, 请问. Great job, everybody. We've learned a lot today. Thank you so much for being with me. 谢谢你. I'll see you in our next lesson. 再见.